Hello and welcome back to the next episode of Bond Reviews with Jake in the Hot Seat. Today, it's been a long time. I'm at a lost track where we are.
It was an incredible video that we did last.
But
If that doesn't give it away of what we reviewed last.
please don't go check it out.
Go watch that. Just don't go watch the actual movie.
Go watch what we posted, not the movie. Anyway, today, that's behind us. They were talking about the first Thor, the one that came out in 2011. It was the fourth one released.
Mhm.
Like, I guess not chronologically, but it was the fourth one released.
'Cause let's see, it was Iron Man, the Hulk, Iron Man 2, is that right?
Yep.
And then Thor.
And then Thor. So anyway, we're gonna try and cut down on these videos, not make another 15-minute video.
I'm too long-winded with the recap, so we decided we're gonna forego that. You can go find a summary of the movie.
I feel like this one's good enough for you. You should go watch it. So,
It was very good.
Yeah, the first Thor is a good movie. So we're gonna skip the recap and just hop straight in to some of our other questions. So jumping into our first question, were you excited to watch this movie?
Absolutely. As I told you guys, that was like the one hope I had while watching The Incredible Hulk was, thank goodness I get to watch Thor next, because I told you guys before I ever watched a Marvel movie, like outside of I think Iron Man 3 and what was Guardians of the Galaxy that I'd watched, I pretty well thought that Thor was going to be my favorite Marvel superhero. It would be Thor, but honestly, after watching Iron Man, it's Iron Man. I would say it lived up to it. I mean, excuse me. I think it's a great movie. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. We can get into it a little bit more with the rating and everything, but I think it's shot very well. I think it has a good plot. There's a few things that I took some notes on to talk about. We can talk about that as we get into it a little bit more. But I've got a little bit of notes on some plot issues.
Yeah.
Not issues, but like things that I saw while I was watching. It's like, I could have done without that, but you know what I mean. Just stuff like that.
And a lot of our previous episodes, a lot of your predictions were for this movie.
Yes.
So you saw some of them come true.
Oh yeah. Well,
not so much.
One of them was that I think I said that Thor was coming for the Tesseract, but I was trying to remember. And I did vaguely remember he does get banished to Earth. So I was like, well, maybe he's not looking for the Tesseract. Excuse me. But I do know that it shows back up in this movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know it's still here. It's there.
There's a part where the Tesseract shows back up. So.
And yes, before you ask, I did watch the post-credit scene.
Did you watch
There's only one of them, right?
No.
I was about to say, there's only one, right?
Yes, there's only one that
good.
I saw too. So.
And I did catch the Stan Lee cameo, so I know where both of those are.
Yeah. So.
Well, not both.
Both things. I was like, both Stan Lee cameos.
There's one Stan Lee cameo, and then there's one after or post-credit scene. Yes, I know where both of those are. That's what I meant by that.
So, did you have a favorite part to this movie?
I believe that my favorite part. One sec, I took some notes down in my phone today. Just throughout the day. I would think that probably my favorite part, I would say, is I like that scene where the three frost giants show up and just out of nowhere the Guardian steps out of the wall and just vaporizes them. That was one of my favorite scenes. I was watching it with Emily, and you can ask her after we get done recording. The second I saw it, I was like, okay, that's really cool. And then I like whenever Thor kind of bullheadishly goes to Jotunheim there at the very beginning of the movie and has the whole fight, and he's gonna walk away, and then they pull a Back to the Future, and it's like, run home, little princess, and it's like, all right, you did it, and then he turns around and just bashes the guy's head in.
That's the one thing you do not say to me.
Yeah, and he just goes full ham on it, and that was really great. One of my favorite scenes also is whenever he infiltrates the crash site to retrieve Jonathan, where he goes to get Mjolnir, and he's just like fighting all the dudes and everything, and there's the one guy that steps up to fight him, and he's like, "You're big," fought bigger, and then proceeds to beat him down.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Did you
part.
notice a certain character?
I noticed that Hawkeye is in there, and the only reason that I knew that was because I think like just the other day I was watching an old episode of the Rooster Teeth podcast, and it was when Avengers came out. Like they were talking about it had come out, and one of them was talking about how it took all of the characters, and like Joss Whedon did a really good job of balancing all of their egos and everything. And he's talking about, think about how much time and effort had to go into that movie. Of you have like 4 movies building up to this, and then he says, you've got the Iron Man movie, you've got the Hulk movie, and then you've got the Thor movie. And someone jokingly says, "Oh, you mean the Hawkeye movie?" And he's like, "Shut up." Yeah. That's the only reason I knew who that was.
A god of thunder, and he gets taken down by an archer.
He never actually shoots him, remember?
Yeah, true.
He never actually takes a shot because Agent Coulson never tells him to.
Yeah. So, was there a part that you didn't like, or least favorite part?
I have some like plot-related things. I think I'm gonna save some of them for when we do the actual rating.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've noticed with all of these movies, and I know why they do it, I don't really like this exactly, but why do we have to have a forced, and I use the term forced loosely, romantic point to all of these movies? Every single one of these movies has a romantic side to it and a romantic story.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I don't, and I mean, action movies do it. I mean, action movies don't have it, and they do just fine. They get away with it. There's no problem with it. I don't understand why every single one of these superhero movies, has to have a forced love story in it.
Especially if, like, you've been watching them in chronological order.
Yeah.
So, like, you see, like, Steve and Agent Carter, and you see, like, Hulk and
I can't even
remember her name.
I know what we're talking about.
The the agent of defense daughter, whatever her name from Hulk. Captain Marvel didn't really have like a
that's the only one, but also it was after these original movies.
I was even thinking, like, if you watched them in the order that they came out, you would see Iron Man, and then Iron Man didn't really have one.
It kind of does there at the end, but it really doesn't bloom until the second movie.
Yeah, that one doesn't bloom until Iron Man 2. But I mean, that's like that's basically 3 movies in a row that all kind of have like this relationship point.
And
so
I feel like they could have just foregone that and had more like fight scenes and stuff, because that's just me. And I know why they do it. They do it to appeal to a broader audience. To try and pull the girlfriends that guys are going to drag to that movie.
Make it seem like a romance movie.
And I feel like that's what they're... I'm assuming, by the way you talk about it, is that kind of what they turn Thor into if he turns into the rom-com superhero?
No, I wouldn't say that, because, like, you'll see... I mean, definitely in the multiverse saga now, like, where the movies are now, I would say that, like, it does get a lot more forced for certain ones. Like, not gonna like spoil any of the movies, like major plot points. But like you see like Peter Quill, Star-Lord, and Gamora, and you see like
because that's another one,
Doctor Strange and Christine Palmer. Like you see those two. Yeah. So like, I would say that like it seems like it's still there. Yeah. Like whenever you go on, like that definitely doesn't end.
Yeah.
This one probably is like drawn out more,
right?
But
because see, whenever I'm thinking of these, and I guess it's because it just appeals to like the kind of like, well, I'm a guy, so like I want a little bit more action in the movie of like just fight scenes and stuff.
Yeah,
and I guess that's just more of like a case by case basis. Because I mean, I'm okay with it, but it's just kind of like, we could have had another fight scene in here or a longer fight scene, So that's my only really least favorite part that I would say is something along those lines, is that I'm kind of just not really vibing with that.
You don't like love.
I love love, just not in like action movies. Because like I mean, well, I mean, stop and take a think. Stop and take a think. Think about like Predator. You know, imagine if they just randomly threw in a woman. Well, I mean, they kind of do, but she's not a love interest in the middle of Predator, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's trying to fight with the Yautja, trying to kill it, and there's this woman that's also like his love interest. So like, there's just no point for it. Which I guess that's just kind of like an '80s movie
like
thing.
King Kong and like Mrs. King Kong showing up. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't tell me that Godzilla and King Kong and no, I'm just kidding. That's a tangent.
So it's like, why can't we? I mean, it's perfectly fine with just having action in a superhero movie if you don't have to have a love story or a love plot. Which I mean, it's nice to have it. It's a little refreshing, but you know, you don't have to always have it.
Yeah, and I will say, like, a bunch of these, they do kind of go into the like have a love plot to them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are more worse than others. You'll see that as we keep going.
Right.
So, continuing on with questions, do you have any like predictions for what you believe specifically? I learned how to talk specifically for Thor in the future.
Given the well, we both can't talk today. Given
We're doing great at the English right now.
Given the speech is not at 100 right now, guys. Given the end of the movie where you see he's got the I can't remember what his name is, the guardian guy that like looks and sees can look and see everything. Given that he's got him like looking down on Earth for the woman that he was trying to get with, the doctor. I can't remember her name right offhand.
Jane Foster.
Yes, Jane Foster. That's her name. I would see him attempting to try and find a way to get back to her.
Yeah, that's a good prediction. Do you have any?
That's all I've really that, and like maybe because he even says himself he's not ready to be the ruler of Asgard. So maybe just him like learning more wisdom per se from his father.
Yeah,
and then trying to learn more of a kingly role.
Yeah,
or ruler of Asgard.
So you said that you saw the end credit scene. It shows the Tesseract. So is there a prediction that you have for now that you've seen a bunch of your predictions
not be true? Fun, and the other part is that Loki, I guess, is Loki possessed that guy, or is Loki influencing him? Because I know that Loki says something along the lines of, well, let's take a look at that. And then the guy says the exact same level, well, let's take a look at that, or something along those lines. So I'm assuming that he's kind of
I'm not going to directly say that. Yeah. I mean, you'll see it later.
So I'm assuming that that's how Loki is going to get the Tesseract, because that is what the first Avengers is about, correct? Is that...
I'm not saying...
You're not going to say... I know that Loki... Is
that your prediction?
That's my... I'm pretty sure... It's not a prediction. I'm pretty sure that Loki is the central villain of the first Avengers movie, because Age of Ultron is about Ultron, and then Infinity War is about Thanos, and then Endgame is about them also fighting Thanos. So by default, I'm like 95% sure that Loki is the main villain, because there's that thing that was memed to death of Loki talking to Tony, and he's like, I have an army, and then Tony's like, we have a Hulk, and then of course there's the scene where Hulk grabs Loki and is just smashing him back and forth.
Yeah.
So I'm like 95% sure that that's Avengers, the first Avengers movie.
I would say it's a good prediction. I'm not going to say if it's true or not.
I don't know. And I'm assuming he's just trying to steal the Tesseract to use it for unlimited power for whatever reason. So, yeah.
Dude, you may or may not see that.
Yeah. I got you. I got you.
I'm not going to direct it. But, I mean, it's a good prediction. And the next one is Avengers.
Yep.
So it will immediately be proven true or not.
True or false. It'll be immediately.
At least some of your other predictions took a little while. This one.
Yeah.
Next one. We'll hop right into your rating now.
Okay, so the first thing that we have is cinematography. And for it, I'm probably going to go ahead and give it a 8, because like all Marvel movies, it's shot wonderfully. It's beautiful. They didn't have any weird cuts or anything. I feel like it was cohesively knit together, like most films. And most of the early Marvel films are like that, of, You don't have a lot of jumping around and a lot of stuff going on. You don't have a whole Jurassic World Dominion moment of you've been 20 different places in the first 20 minutes of the movie. And it's just like, it just all sticks. So I would say, and just the shots are beautiful. I mean, like it's still Asgard. Even though CGI, it looks beautiful. And you get these shots of just the whole city and like the deal with the bridge leading from Asgard over to Jotunheim.
Yeah. Well, it definitely looks like somewhere that like definitely isn't our planet. Like I feel like that's kind of the main point that you get from that is that you can see like this isn't something from Earth.
Right.
Like what they have lived in and what Thor has grown up with and
is
like
completely different.
Is nothing that he has ever encountered on Earth.
And case in point of that little detail of whenever he's in the coffee shop, and I'm assuming he's drinking. Well, I say they're in the diner, and I'm assuming he's drinking coffee. And he drinks it, and he says, "I love this drink." Another, and just throws it on the ground.
Yeah,
I'm like, you can ask for another. It's like, I didn't mean disrespect by it. Like that's just his culture. That's just the Norse culture.
If you broke somebody's cup in a diner, they'd be like,
"Bruh,
you have to leave like immediately.
Either that,
please
you have
do
to
not
pay
do
for
that
it
again."
And it's like either that or you.
You'd be paying for it, no doubt.
But I mean, it's
probably be
coffee cups. I mean, they're not that expensive. So yeah. Moving on to plot. And here's where my notes on plot come in. My plot, I'm going to give it a 7. And the reason being, and like I said, I've got some notes on this. And I want to preface this by saying, before I say this next thing, did not look into Norse mythology until after I wrote this note, or after I thought about this, because I don't know a lot about Norse mythology. So the first thing being is that the fact that Loki being a frost giant does not advance the plot at all. Like it does not. The plot does not hinge on that fact. Like it's supposed to be this big reveal and everything, and I don't see the reason for it. Because in Norse mythology, because I looked this up, he's only half frost giant. He's half frost giant and half god.
Yeah,
and Odin is not his father at all. Like Odin doesn't take him or anything. Loki is just half frost giant, half god. His mother's a goddess, and I can't remember his father's name, but his father is a frost giant in Norse mythology. And you can't say that, well, it motivated him to, try and seize the throne. Well, he already had that going for him because you have the younger brother living in his older brother's shadow, and he just wants to be better. And because he even says that whenever the frost giant king asks him, hey, why did you lead our people into Asgard? He says, oh, I just did that to have some fun at the expense of my older brother, because he did it. He said specifically on my brother's special day. So he already had that going for him. And if anything, Loki is very snake-like, I would say.
That's why I think trickster god.
Well, yeah, I know. He's snake-like. And it would not shock me if he had the whole thing planned out from the beginning. And what I mean by that is that, okay, he lets the frost giants in. He knows that that's going to set Thor on a warpath. He knows that Thor is going to act bullheadedly and go into this big thing and try and fight with them and start a war and everything. And I feel like he knew that Odin was going to banish him. And I feel like his plan was still, he was going to lead the frost giants into Asgard to kill Odin, but he was going to come in and be the hero because he would know that they were coming, just like he did. The fact, and like I said, I know that him finding out he's a frost giant causes his father to go into that essentially coma.
Yeah.
And he if anything, that just makes it easier for him. You know what I mean? That just made things easier for him to seize the throne. So in my opinion, him being a frost giant doesn't really contribute to the plot at all, other than just to remain true to Norse mythology, I would assume.
I think the frost giant thing kind of pays off.
Does it pay off later?
More.
Okay. Well, like I said, in the context of this movie, to me, I don't see a need for it.
I was about to say right now, like it doesn't really make sense. It kind of makes sense later.
Okay.
But still, like not like completely. I will say that.
And the other thing I want to say is, like, I'm pretty sure that your father going into a coma does not automatically make you king. If anything, it would make you like a temporary ruler, or like maybe like
you get put in as like interim.
Yeah, like an interim ruler, or like maybe like a leader of like his council that he had, that or like his advisors. because I mean they even make the statement that he's been in this state before, like it's happened before, because he tells Thor that whenever he goes and lies to Thor, he says that Mother is afraid that he won't come out of it this time because we weren't prepared for it this time.
Yeah.
And then the Frost Giant King makes reference to that later whenever he says, it is said that when you're in this state, you can still hear and see. And he says, I hope it's true because I want you to see this.
Yeah.
Before he tries to kill him. So that's just my little rant on that part. But the plot, like I said, I give it a 7. It's just a spoiled prince getting humbled. I mean, that's the story here.
Yeah.
And learning humanity.
You didn't like the romance.
Yeah, I don't really like the fact that, because it's in all of them, and it's just kind of like, well, we could have put more towards other stuff. You know, it didn't have to be like world building or, like I said, more fight scenes or something like that.
But Natalie Portman just be doing it for all Hemsworth.
She got that Star Wars money. Now she has to get the Marvel money, get the Avengers, or not the Avengers money, but get the Marvel money. So
get that. No, she got Disney on both sides.
Yep. Now she does. She sure does. Back then she didn't, but now she does. That's come full circle, hadn't it? Moving onward to Easy to Follow. I give it an 8 on that because it's very straightforward. There's no just out of nowhere things
this movie
happening.
Is a lot like its predecessor, and it's a very straightforward, easy to follow story.
Yeah,
and it doesn't jump between Asgard and Earth.
I mean, it jumps between Asgard and Earth a little bit, but not that much. Like it's not bad.
It's very easy to follow. It's not like whenever it jumps, the story advances 3 days, and you don't really understand how.
I get. This is one complaint I have, and it's kind of a minor one, is that I don't know why we start with Dr. Say her name again, please.
Jane Foster.
Jane. I don't know why we start the movie with Dr. Jane and Darcy and the other doctor. I can't remember his name either. I don't know why we start the movie with them doing their little research thing and then them hit Thor. And then we go to find out how he got here. I mean, I get it. I guess it goes back to like a plot hook of like you just have to have that little hook in there of like you have a statement, and it's the same thing in writing. You know, if you have a statement that's just kind of like an attention getter, and then you go back and explain the whole attention getter. I guess that's kind of the reason they do it. But I am a little bit more of a fan of like you very easily could have started with just Thor being crowned king, or like you could have cut that part out from where it was and moved it later on into the film. Like have the whole opening of the like we already had with the Frost Giant, of Odin telling the story about the Frost Giants and everything. Then move up to Thor's coronation, in a sense, and then you know
that's similar for what happens with like in Captain Marvel. It's like it shows like all of her story up until like the point. Yeah, she's constantly having flashbacks of like really her like backstory. Right. So I feel like this was kind of like a predecessor movie to that. Yeah. And they were like, maybe that works. So whenever they're making Captain Marvel, they were like, let's go back to that and do something similar to that.
And they kind of do it with Iron Man as well. Of you have Tony in the caravan getting blown up, and then like have that little moment, and then it cuts back to like 38 hours earlier.
Yeah.
They all kind of do it, and I really didn't say anything about it, but I guess I'm starting to notice like tropes in these movies.
Yeah.
That they keep doing, and it's kind of like, okay, you've done this for every movie though. Can we get something a little bit different? Like kind of mix it up a little bit. It's like it's okay to do it for some of them, but you don't have to do it for all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That might just be me. So this is our revolving category. Since this is an origin movie, it is a good origin. I would say 10 out of 10. I think that it tells Thor's backstory. It tells where he came from.
It explains the world. It shows Asgard.
It says why he is the way he is.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows a character arc of, he, like I said, of he is the spoiled brat that is, I mean, he's a prince. He's a spoiled prince.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what he is. And he's only been told that he's the best there's ever been, and he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and he gets humbled really quick and real easily.
It especially shows that whenever he like first goes to Earth, and like you can tell that he just thinks that like anywhere he goes, they have to follow his rules, and not
Mhm.
that he has to follow the
And I
rules of wherever he is.
and I think it really hits home with him whenever he goes to pick up Mjolnir, and he's like, "Oh, I can't do this anymore."
Yeah.
Of he's like not worthy anymore. I think that's like
Yeah.
you said. Of he realizes real because I mean, even when he first lands, he's still able to kind of because I mean he waltzes
Yeah.
right into the crash site and is just like throwing guys
It's
over his
like,
shoulders
dude,
left
like,
and right and fighting. And,
y'all are keeping me from something that's rightfully mine.
yeah, and then that I feel like that's the really like the gut punch to his ego if he's like, oh man, this isn't. I can't just get my status back. Moving on to the realism category, this is one that is a little bit tougher to nail down for me because you don't see a lot of the real world in this one. It's a lot between Asgard, Jotunheim. If anything, you see a lot more of like the like scummy side of like a monarchy, in a sense of you see the corruptness of Loki of how he because even whenever he didn't know he was a frost giant, he basically sold his people out
Yeah.
to get the frost giants in.
But I will also say you kind of see like how someone reacts to like being on Earth for the first time. Like
Mhm.
this is a completely different world for them.
Mhm.
They like don't understand anything, and I feel like
Yeah, especially whenever
that's
Thor's
definitely one part that like contributes to the realism, just to show like
yeah.
he doesn't really understand.
Especially whenever he's in the hospital and like they're trying to take blood and he's like, "You dare touch the god of thunder," and it's like throwing folks around and they go to sedate him and he's like, I can't remember what he says, but he's like, "Get off of me," and like he's saying something and then they put him under. It's like and just goes limp.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
The scene of everybody trying
Oh, that is so
to get
good.
the hammer is
And
hilarious.
what was so funny was while me and Emily were watching this, she said that's such an American thing to
Yeah.
do. That it really
Dude,
like people are
everybody's
out
like,
there barbecuing.
Man, my Ford F-150's got 700 horsepower.
and then they've got Stan Lee driving the truck. He's like, "Did it work?" And it's so good.
Dude, that
But
part is
that is
hilarious.
such an American thing of that. Straight up, I could see it's like, man, this is like sword and a stone. Let's go see if we can pull a hammer out of rock. I think for realism. Excuse me. I don't know. What do you think, Sims? This is kind
I
of
was
like
gonna
a table
say, like,
consensus.
7 or 8.
I
mean, it
think
seems
seven's good.
Yeah, it seems really like real. It's not like he lands on Earth and immediately knows like how
Yeah.
to act,
Yeah.
how to like all the morals, all the laws.
I feel like one of the negative factors is that like Loki kind of becomes king just because his father's in a coma.
Yeah,
I think that's a little far fetched because like I don't. It's a little bit of a nitpick, but I don't think that's how it works, buddy. Moving on to accuracy, I don't feel. I mean, we could just follow the trend that we've been doing with Chase and just say 3.
yeah.
Because I mean that seems like a because Chase is very critical of these movies, so I would say that fits.
Do you feel like Chris Hemsworth looks like the Norse mythology of Thor?
No, absolutely. This is one of the things I want to talk about, and I'm really upset that Tyler's not here to talk about it because he and I had a conversation about this in the new God of War game. It takes place in Norse mythology. All right, so Thor in that game is got a beer belly, and he's like kind of does not look like he's in the greatest shape. In Norse mythology, that is what he looks like.
Yeah.
He is not, and Tyler had told me that people were mad that that's what they portrayed Thor as in that movie. I feel like people are looking at Chris Hemsworth as Thor and thinking this is Thor. It's like, no, homie, this is Thor.
Yeah.
No, Chris Hemsworth does not look exactly like Thor does in Norse mythology. No, he does not. But Chris Hemsworth plays a wonderful Thor.
Yeah.
I like Chris Hemsworth as Thor. I think he does a great job.
Yeah.
So, 1 second, we'll be right back. We're gonna tally up the scores real quick, and we'll be right back. And we're back with the final score. You guys probably already had it totaled up in your head, but it is 43 out of 60 is the final rating I give to the first Thor movie. I still think it's a great movie. We were looking back at some of the old scores. It's a little bit lower than I expected it to be, but still, just because this is all my opinion, and that doesn't mean that it's a bad movie. It just means that that's how I felt at the time of watching it. I would rewatch all of these later and think, okay, well, this is actually how I feel about these movies. Because, like I said, this is just a first time reaction to it. So
But I definitely feel like whenever you see them all, and then you go back and like watch
you start seeing
one
more
in
things tie
comparison to
together.
the rest of them, then you'll kind of like
Yeah,
see more.
you appreciate it a lot more, I would say.
Definitely, you kind of like say like, oh, like as Thor as a character builds more, as Loki or as Jane Foster as a character builds more, then
Mhm.
like you can definitely say like, yeah, this part in their story was really cool in
Right.
comparison to like where they are now.
I would think, yeah, because I mean, you really do see Loki's descent in this movie. I feel like if you see him starting to become what he later becomes in the other movies, I know he kind of becomes a delinquent a little bit
Yeah,
throughout the rest of the, because I mean, in his show and in the other movies, I definitely you really see like this is his villain origin story. It really this movie serves as a double-edged sword because it's Thor's origin story, but it's also Loki's origin story. So I think it
yeah.
play. And I just made that connection right now. So yeah, I think this movie does a good job at what it does. So that's my final rating on it. Anything you want to add?
Not that I know of.
All right,
I
sweet.
think that you'll definitely see like as you keep going, you'll like you started to pick up on details like be sure and follow the Tesseract. Where is it? Where
Right,
it is at all times, and
right.
like
I've been trying to keep track of that
yeah,
thing
really
ever
starting to
since the
pick up.
beginning. Yeah, ever
The
since
predictions are better
Captain
too.
America. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please, if you like this video, leave a like on the video, comment. Let us know what your rating is for this movie. Let us know what your favorite part is, your least favorite part. Please subscribe. We're at, I think, 666 right now.
Nice.
It feels really bad to say that. It feels really weird to say that, actually. Please subscribe.
Make sure we're not at 667. Just
Yeah, we can do a live check on that. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I encourage you, please go check out our other blind review videos.
Please subscribe to get us to 667.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. The excellent challenge is coming. We promise it is coming. We're still working some stuff out on it, so try to make sure we get a good day.
I'm getting prepared.
Sims is
mentally
getting prepared.
And physically.
We're not just pulling you guys around. This is gonna happen. We're gonna do it right here on the channel. So please keep a watch on that. Hey, turn on the little bell, the notification bell, so that you will be alerted the second that we release that video. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Go check out some of our other content.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok.
Link in the description below.
And Patreon.
You can follow me on Twitch if you would like. I'm streaming right now. I'm going to try and start streaming every Thursday. Right now we're playing through Skyrim, trying to get all the achievements, so go check that out if you're interested. We'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye.